Hello everyone, welcome back to Lydia's Plate. I'm Lydia and today I'm making bread. I'd love to have you join me. First I have to get my mixer out. I used to keep it on the counter, but I don't bake as much as I used to, so now I prefer to have the counter as free as possible and have that space instead. I noticed that my mixer needed a little TLC, so after a quick wipe, we were ready to start. I buy instant yeast, but I still like to give it a few minutes to proof anyways. Plus, while it's proofing, it gives me a few minutes to gather the other things I'll need, like eggs, lard, and salt. The yeast has proofed enough now, and I have things ready and the lard has melted, so let's get it mixed up. Almost mixed up, time for the sticky test. Yep, it's not sticking to my fingers, so it has enough flour and it's ready to rise. Alrighty, so here I had to clarify. I only turned on my oven light, not the oven itself. My oven light gives off a nice amount of warmth, which the dough loves very much. In the time it took for the bread to rise, I almost got my pantry all cleaned out and organized. I will link that video in the description box as soon as it's been posted to YouTube. Make sure you've subscribed and turn on your notifications by hitting that little bell if you don't want to miss any of my other videos. So because I was busily multitasking today, and I can link that video as well once it's posted, I had not cleaned up this space yet, but now I'll need the space for making the dough into loaves. But first, I have to grease the loaf pans. If I forget to grease the top of my mixing bowl, sometimes the dough really sticks in all those grooves. That's a pain in the butt. Now here I've learned a trick over the years. The dough is always a little sticky when you start working with it, and if you don't do this, your bread will still be very soft, but it will also be very crumbly. So, if you work each piece of dough now about 10 times or until it's not sticky anymore, you activate the gluten in the flour, which will still leave your bread very soft, but it will also hold together beautifully like store-bought bread. I'm just using the fold and roll method. Fold over an edge or corner, if you can call it that, on something that's round, and then roll it out and repeat. Once again, the dough will enjoy the warmth of the oven light as it rises into delicious loaves. So to clean up my island, I'm using the back or top of my Pampered Chef handy scraper. It's actually designed for scooping up all your chopped veggies, but I've found that it works very well for this application and its size makes for quick cleanup. And yes, I'm saving that bit of flour. I just can't bear to throw it away. It's still perfectly good. And it won't take long before I'll be making something that requires flour again. You can see my soup is nicely simmering away there, and once the bread had risen to the size that you see there through my oven glass, I turned on the oven and let them bake. Oh, they're beautiful, just gorgeous! Here, let me bring you in for a closer look. And here you can also see how well the lard on the pans worked. This loaf just slides right out. Guys, so our bread has sat in these bags overnight. I find that it's easier to cut when it has had some time to sit because it's so warm and fresh right after it comes out of the oven. You can see here that one of the kids was already hungry for some this morning. They would have eaten a lot more already if I'd let them go at it, but I knew I needed to cut this for you. So let's see how it looks. There you can see a nice loaf, and it holds together well, or a nice slice, not the whole loaf. Alright, so normally I would cut this with, can't think of the name of it right now, with my electric slicer, sorry. Normally I would cut the loaves with my electric slicer, which is what I am going to do now. It's just terribly loud. I'm already sorry about the background noise of my dishwasher going. But I just wanted you to be able to see, you know, that homemade bread can slice very nicely. It can work with a knife. It just needs some time to sit. Even when I'm slicing with the electric knife, I will only slice it when it's super fresh if we're eating it for supper that day or lunch or whatever, like if we're eating it right away. So, yeah. All right, now I'll show you with the electric knife. I'm sorry, I don't think I was clear enough. The only time that I will slice bread right away is if it's going with our meal, but I don't like to do that because it's so soft still when it's warm and fresh out of the oven that it just wants to squish. So I try to let it rest overnight. Also, in summer, when it's so hot and humid, I will put it in the fridge overnight, and all year long actually I store it in the fridge. Because homemade bread doesn't have all the preservatives that store-bought bread does, it can and will mold very quickly. In the fridge though, I've kept them well for quite a while. Oh boy, I think like up to 2 to 3 weeks. From these loaves, 2 will go in the fridge and 2 will go into the freezer. Oh, and I've never experienced freezer burn on my bread yet. I think the longest it's ever been in the freezer is a month, and that's when I make 8 loaves. Still no freezer burn. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Maybe you've learned something, or maybe you're an expert and have some tips for me. Either way, I'd love to hear from you, so please comment if you feel inclined to do so. Otherwise, I'll talk to you again in my next video. Again, please subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, the thumbs up if you liked it, and I'll see you next time to bring you more ideas of what to put on your plate.